We start in the world of Tor, a place far away. Specifically, we are going to be starting in a place far from most civilized realms. We are going to be starting in a desert with with canyons hollowed out from wind and rain and times long gone by. We start with the Grand Caravan from the people of Mamanstan, making its long trek across all the nations of the world, harboring all manner of individuals, some benign, some mixed, and some worse. Our story will begin with a tiefling named Vengeance. You've been traveling with this
Ooh.
caravan for some time. You've mostly been keeping to yourself for many reasons. There are plenty of eyes and plenty of stories and plenty of mouths to tell stories, none of which you've been particularly interested in so far. Recent events have made you wary of who to talk to. And yet, around you, there's a hum, a sense of movement. You all are going to the same place. Perhaps your goals are different, but you have a common goal. And that, at least for now, binds you. You're not exactly comfortable, but you are safer than you were. And that brings comfort. You see in the distance a river bigger than anything you've realistically seen on this entire trip so far. It's a great river. It's, about a kilometer across. It's very big, very thick, and behind it lays a grand town. You've seen bigger. You've seen cities much larger than this, but certainly this is the first major town you've come across since your escape. It's an impressive sight, and the architecture is strange and foreign to you. It looks different in every sense of the word. Aspen, you've been wandering
Mm-hmm.
through the desert, and recently you have come from a sandstorm. Your first of the type. It was unlike any other storm you've seen so far, but you only have experience with two, realistically. Your silent companion um, slows, and you feel a sense of fatigue yourself. In a very real way, you feel attached to this creature that you made. It's an interesting relationship. You're not quite sure how to feel on your own, but it seems to be comforted by your presence, and you take some solace in that. You climb to the top of a dune when you see a mighty canyon, and as your eyes wander down this canyon, you can see it slowly decline into a rapid rushing river. The first time you've seen water. You have an interesting feeling. You want to go to it. You feel drawn to it as if you need it, but it's very much a phantom feeling that passes. Your companion stares silently beside you as you take in your surroundings. And in the distance, you can see something else, not a river and not sand. Buildings. The tops of buildings. They don't look like where you came from, and there's black clouds rising up into the air. You innately feel that this is smoke and that there must be fire nearby. You see this town and this water. You still kind of want to at least see the water closer. You kind of get that vague curiosity, but you're also curious about the town. Something about it compels you. Other than that, what are you thinking?
When I smoke means there's probably people, right? It doesn't look like a fire.
It doesn't look like a fire, no. You innately know that there is fire there, but it does not seem to be a fire storm. It seems more like baking or forging. You don't know what those words mean, but they come into your head, and it feels controlled. Like it feels like there is no
Hmm.
emergency.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll head over to it.
As you continue your trek up and down the dunes, you lose sight of the town and the river sometimes, but the smoke helps to guide your way. Your companion follows silently alongside you. Your curiosity seems to be growing on the matter. Emotions and this whole concept of feeling is all very new to you, and it feels strange. Your thoughts themselves influence the way you feel, but at the same time, the way you feel is very much influenced by your thoughts. This puzzle occupies your time as you head up the next dune. Rose, you are surrounded by this common sense of going somewhere, and you see this town off in the distance. You're about midway in the caravan, and intently so, buried deep within it, can't be picked off from either end. You find yourself on one of many wagons. Um, this particular one is pulled by two great oxen. And the rider seems to have been kind to you, or the driver, rather. You haven't spoken to him much yet. He offered you a ride, and your feet certainly have thanked him for it. You see this town in the distance, you see the river, and you see the smoke rising into the air. What are your thoughts and feelings?
Does the smoke look like a building is on fire, or it's just like from a chimney or something?
No, there are several chimneys in this town. Um, from your
Okay.
perspective, you can even see a watermill that is chumming along happily. There are several windmills on other, I don't want to say sand dunes, but this is kind of parts of this river turn into a canyon, and other parts of this river are closer to lowlands. This river's course seems to have changed much uh, over periods of time. There are parts where it's been that way for eons, and simultaneously parts that seem to be pretty new.
Vengeance is, I think, trying to stay alert, I guess. She's not like exerting herself, but she's, sort of keeping her head on a swivel. She's not really being idle right now, per se.
What's your passive
I guess
perception?
you, ooh, 11.
Okay. With an 11 on your passive perception, and given that you're being alert as best you can, you've been tense ever since you made your escape. You feel slightly safer in a way, uh, since you've been in this caravan so long and nothing has happened yet, but you're still very tense. You are alert. You have
Yeah.
not exhausted yourself by any means. And it startles you slightly when you feel the thump thump of the wagon wheels going over a bridge in between, apparently where this river must have at one point gone through for some time. The
Okay.
makeshift bridge is allowing the caravan to cross over this dried up part of canyon.
And you know how I would describe Vengeance's feelings about being in the caravan right now? As I would say, maybe she doesn't trust anyone here, but she knows how bad the situation was before, and common sense tells her that, well, maybe not common sense, but like this is at least different.
Yeah,
So
it's a
she's
different
definitely not,
kind.
relaxed, but
It's a passive
yeah.
mistrust. It's like these are strangers. They're not out to get me, but they aren't friendly either. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
yeah.
Aspen,
Yes.
the closer you get to this town, it feels very strange. It feels like you're trying to remember something. Something important. Something that meant something to you on a very personal level. And as you get closer, it feels on the tip of your tongue. The thoughts just aren't quite forming. As the town comes into better view, you too see the watermill, you see the windmills. You even see further down, from your vantage point, you can see further down the river, there are some farms of sorts where the river has been diverted in many ways to bring water not just throughout the town through what seems to be some kind of aqueduct system, but it also irrigates the crops downriver and turns into various paddies where, of all things, rice seems to be farmed, amongst other plants that are much more suited to this climate. But
Hmm.
this
Okay.
rich kind of wetlands, uh, it sparks images in your head, and you really feel like you remember something. It's not quite coming to you. Uh,
Hmm.
Describe for me how you're walking at this point. What do you look like from a distance?
Okay. I'm still surrounded by sand.
Mostly the
I
sand in canyons. There is very much sandstone
I
that has been cut into from the river, and there is sand that is everywhere.
right. I am definitely made of sandstone. So I probably, as is my cat at the moment, I very likely blend into the sand.
So you're the same
Um,
color?
yes,
The
I'm very
sand is not
sandy.
yellow or even tan. It's actually a faint, very diluted orange. It's got a very
Okay.
orange kind of tint to it.
Well,
Um,
is that what the color of the sandstone is as well?
yes, the sandstone is a
Okay.
slightly darker orange, but is nonetheless orange-ish. Um,
I still likely blend in pretty well. You'd have to squint to actually be able to make me out. I imagine I've remembered how to walk by now.
oh, by far, yes.
It'd be very strange if you didn't.
The
Okay,
question is how
okay.
you walk.
So my creator had legs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I walk like a where was my creator bipedal or quadrupedal?
Your creator was bipedal.
Okay, so I probably am also bipedal because that's how I would remember to walk. It would be strange if the cat was too, but it might be.
The cat does seem to walk on all fours, as it
Okay,
follows you.
okay.
Its tail, you notice, seems to be pointing at the sky and swaying from side to side gently. It seems very focused, intent.
Okay. So yeah, I walk relatively normally for a bipedal sandstone robot
Are there any
because of the
differences
magic.
between you and the sand that you've emerged from? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, there are a few. Well, I don't think my statue is wearing anything. However, I do have my long bow, and then my eyes are of gemstones. They are not made out of the same sandstone the rest of me is. There are features molded into me that imply things like clothes and jewelry. However, they do not have any actual gemstones. The only remaining gemstones on me are my eyes.
Your walk, is it like a lumber? Is it a gait? Is your posture more bent, or is it upright?
it is upright. Despite having a lot of mobility for a robot, my mobility isn't perfect per se.
So your movements seem almost stiff.
No, because my legs and arms have more motion to them. I have a relatively, like, I don't know, standard walk. It's when I try to do more complex things that you start noticing on a little bit of oddness.
Mm.
My back and my back and shoulders don't have too much mobility. I'm I was built more with arm and leg mobility in mind, as well as neck mobility
Mm.
and head mobility, especially around the jaw.
Mm.
The gemstones that make up my eyes are red, and they're not like on the surface of the sandstone. They're like inset, like eyeballs would be.
Mm. All right. Well, with that in mind, vengeance. As you approach the town, you notice the caravan begins to slow further and further. The first section of it, which must be, some miles away, it has begun to enter the town, and as such, the rest of the caravan is halted. It's like you're in a traffic jam in Chicago. It's painfully slow, and there isn't much to do or really see. You've been seeing sand and sandstone for quite some time. Nonetheless, there's a certain beauty to it that doesn't necessarily appeal to you, but is nonetheless there. There is a gentle swaying in the very light breeze that provides refreshment from a sun that feels all too hot for your taste. There's a smell in the air, mostly of incense, but other things, sweat. There's the stink of a bunch of people who haven't been able to shower for a couple days now. But simultaneously, the rhythm, despite your slow pace, has remained. Um, Instead of a steady beat of wheels kicking up dirt, you've come to find not quite the same, but a similar beat to the wagons rolling forward, the sighs of the people around you, even the breathing of the driver next to you. There's a pulse to it. And
Okay.
then that rhythm is abruptly broken as someone cries out and points in a direction. The person who cries out is a human child who has annoyed you slightly for some time. They are loud, for lack of a better term, and in your nervous state to begin with, they haven't exactly done anything to calm you with their loudness. But they cry out and point in a direction, and your first instinct is to look. And when you do, you don't see anything at first, but you know there's motion. And you catch a glint, something shiny, um, slightly taller than your average humanoid is moving out there. And they're very hard to pick out at this distance, but you see that glint again. There's a different kind of rhythm to it. It is moving with purpose, but at the same time seems a little unnatural.
Okay. Um, Two things. One, uh, I think, sort of reflexively, her hand goes to the handle of the whip on her side. I've decided she's carrying a bullwhip to start with.
Mm.
And secondly, I wanted to ask, um, are we talking like 6 feet tall, slightly taller, or like 8 feet?
Aspen, you can answer that question.
Yes. Oh, okay. Um, no, I'm like 5'4", I guess.
Oh, so you're a shoddy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
shoddy.
I did not realize you were a shoddy. That's my bad.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry. I
taller than
did.
you. Vengeance's listed height is 6'2",
Well, oh
so
boy.
I tower over you.
You
Yes.
you will.
I,
A
Yeah,
I
I
man's
had a
will.
feeling
instinct
Okay.
is
that
to say like shorter than average humanoid.
So yeah, I see this really tall dwarf.
Yeah, true. Really tall dwarf. Accurate. You don't quite see features yet. You see movement and glinty and rough-ish outline, not dwarf. Or unless dwarfs are all of a sudden slightly off-color orange, but
slightly off-colored sand.
yeah, true.
Oh, um, okay. No, I did a thing. Sorry.
Um, on that note, while you reflexively kind of put your hand on your whip, um, you you get a strange feeling from it. You've never you have gotten feelings from this object before. It's unlike anything else you've touched in many ways. It's otherworldly in every sense of the word. But this is the first time you've gotten uh, something different from it. It's almost as if it recoils from your touch. Before, when you touched it, you felt power, a lot of power, and a kind of burning rage. And when you used it, it felt like it felt like saying saying how you felt to someone who's done you harm. It felt like lashing out in every sense of the word. And the
Okay.
release that came with it, that same kind of feeling happened after you had completed your using it. This time it feels stubborn. It feels like it does not want to be used.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so my whip is being stubborn now. Okay.
True. It's even a little cold to the touch, whereas before it felt warm, like very warm, but kind of like a warm shower, like a comfortable kind of too hot when you were using it. And now it's more cold, like almost unnaturally cold given the outside ambient air temperature.
Okay, then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hit it with the butt of my palm a couple times to like try and get it working. Like, hey, come on.
It will warm slightly to your touch, and its color will soften somewhat. Um, as
I
you
got good
return
stuff.
to searching for what you were looking for, not even knowing what you were looking for, um, you see several mounted guards, one of which you know to be some kind of important figure. Uh, it's this dude who has one of the very few war horses. Like, you don't exactly know what constitutes a war horse, but a lot of the other guards have spoke of this particular guard's horse with reverence. Um, and as far as you can tell, do you have animal handling?
I don't have. I have a 1 in animal handling.
Okay, so do you have proficiency is what I'm asking for.
No, no, I
Okay.
am not proficient.
Given that it's a horse. Like,
That
that's
sure is
that's
a
your
horse.
personal opinion, but
4 legs, tail, and a head. Yeah, that looks like a horse.
yeah, damn. Horses,
Holy
horse,
cow.
trot,
I'm
gallop,
traveling around with a horse?
true. But this guy comes up leading four other guards. Um, most of them mounted, one of them not, and the one who's not is struggling to keep up. And the guards kind of look around at the commotion, squint in the distance, And some other people then go up to them and say there's something in the desert. They seem a little afraid, a little disturbed. Some are worried. Uh, Overall, the sentiment is kind of wary curiosity. Um, and they point out and help you to see this figure more. This figure has approached closer, so it's slightly easier to see them. And as they rise up over a sand dune, Aspen, please describe your character in detail.
Okay, so up over a sand dune rises. It's very clearly a statue of a deity of some sort. The biggest tell is the cat head on it that doesn't really match any race that you've ever seen before. You can't fully make it out at this distance, but you can tell it has very ornate ceremonial bands molded into the sandstone on its wrists and on its neck. It's wearing multiple necklaces molded into the sand. It appears to be wearing some sort of ceremonial garb, although it doesn't look like anything that you've ever seen before, really. It doesn't look like any kind of modern ceremonial garb that you've ever seen. It looks like it's wearing a shirt that has sort of shorter sleeves so as to show off more of the ceremonial bands. It appears to have important looking trim molded in. It's got a very low cut neck that looks like it would be overlapping fabric if it wasn't molded of stone. It's got ridges modeled into the pants to sort of give a poofier look to them, and the pants also look quite ornate. But it's all out of sandstone except for the eyes, which it appears to have two very bright. They're not like they're a deep red. They're not like dark. They're more of a burgundy red gemstone, almost like a garnet in looks.
Okay.
You can tell it's a statue, but it is designed after some sort of female, some sort of woman character.
Right.
The it
Some
is
goddess.
Yes. The cat it's a short-haired cat. The head is modeled off of a short-haired cat. It does not have cat paws, and it does not appear to have cat feet either, with the sandals that are modeled in. Both of those look like humanoid hands and feet. However, it is unmistakably a cat head of some kind.
Right. So
You
yeah,
can also
decidedly not
see
tabaxi.
decidedly not tabaxi. That is correct. Um, can they see the cat as well? The little cat guy that follows me around. Can they see that?
Yeah, absolutely. That one just a little less detail for now, but that will follow you
Okay.
up the sand dune. So, absolutely.
Yes, there's a little animal that looks cat-ish that follows me. Oh, and I have a bow. Do I have any ammo yet? Or do I just
I'll
have a
I'll
longbow?
I'll say you have some ammunition.
Okay. There's a very makeshift bow and arrow setup that sort of clashes with the whole made of sand look that I have going on. That's going on here.
I dig that, but I was kind of hoping you would say you have like a built-in quiver. That would have been cool.
We'll
But
get there.
I like the sort of hodgepodge nature of your weaponry.
That is what you see rising over the sand dune.
Okay.
And you get a good look at it. A really good look at it. And then after a few moments of everyone kind of being stunned, wary, a variety of emotions, the figure inevitably sinks once again beneath the sand. But unmistakably, they are approaching you.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
Approaching
So,
me?
Well, not you in specific, but in your
Okay.
direction. Um,
Okay.
So I'm approaching you.
Approaching the caravan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to that end, the guards talk amongst themselves, and this lead guard uh, talks to them. Do you want to listen to this conversation?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to eavesdrop.
Okay. Um, what is your perception? Just
Um,
your
oh, just straight
perception
up
modifier,
perception?
I guess. But if I remember right, that should be a +1 for perception. Or do you have
Yeah.
proficiency?
No, it's just one.
Okay. With a +1, you can hear something to the effect of, we need to secure the caravan, of course, but they do not seem to. And you can't quite catch the last bit of that as they ride a little bit out of earshot, and that annoying kid is then asking just dozens of questions, and you catch parts of the kid's conversation where the kid is saying, "Who was that? Why do they look shiny? And why are they yellow or orange?" And yeah, it's you can't make much out after that.
Okay.
I'm annoyed by a kid.
True. Um, the caravan lurches forward regardless. Its lull while everyone was busy watching, now once again kind of returning to its previous pace, uncaring of the event that just happened in front of you. It lurches much farther than it otherwise normally would, but then continues to filter in. Um, Looking back, you seem to be making pretty good time. You have a much better look of the town now. Again, definitely smaller than a city, unmistakably a town, but impressive nonetheless, especially for being in this desert. You can now see the rice paddies and the grain fields that are being irrigated, and you can see parts of the aqueduct system intertwining itself throughout the busy city streets. The city itself seems to be situated on a couple hills, partially built into what looks like what once used to be a part of this river. Uh, and you can see towards the very beginning of the town, there are several levees, I suppose you'd call them, that help to redirect the river, and even parts where the river's flow can be channeled into different ways or redirected altogether. In a
Okay.
in a very real sense, this town has been built into the rock and is built with the rock. In terms of construction, I will post this to kind of give you guys an idea, rough idea. There, just before this image is taken, you will see a very large bridge that seems to be pretty well defended for what it is. It has four great towers and a gate on the other side of the bridge. And it seems to be this is what's causing most of the holdups, as despite the size of this bridge, only two wagons can fit across at a time, which admittedly is something like 12, 20 or so feet across, but or wide ways.
Right.
Lengthwise, it goes for quite a ways, but the first two towers are inspecting each and every cart that comes through.
Uh-oh.
You feel a little uneasy about that.
Okay.
Aspen, while that is happening, you notice as you make your trek across the dunes and closer to this strange town, you notice that there's this very long line of wagons and creatures that seem so familiar yet so foreign. They're animate like you. They move. And that's the first time you've ever really seen that. You can even make out their features, some of them, as you get closer. Some are big, some are tall, some are riding these not so animate structures on wheels, and there are live things that pull the structures. It's all very strange, but a little familiar. The creatures don't seem
Hmm.
at all familiar, but the way they move feels like you've seen it all your life.
Ah.
You feel a strange wave of relief almost that there are other creatures in this world that you inhabit. You get the impulse to talk to them. And
Oh, okay.
as you get closer to the town, you do see that the town does have a wall. It's not impressively high, but it has a wall nonetheless, some 10, 15 feet in the air. And it has guard towers posted amongst those walls. The guard towers don't seem to be very well populated. Um, you do see occasionally these creatures will point at you or will seem to turn and move their faces. It makes sense in your mind and you're not quite sure why, but uh that's kind of what you get as you approach. Where are you heading at this point?
Oh, where am I heading? I guess to wherever that smoke was that I saw, right?
The smoke seems to be coming from within the walls, and you don't see any kind of aperture from your vantage point to get within the walls. You can tell
Okay.
that they are walls, and that word kind of flows through your head, walls, and you play around with it for a bit, and you definitely get the sense that it's meant to keep things out, but you also very much feel like there is a way in.
Okay, okay. I'll guess I'll go find the way in then, huh?
That does make sense. Approaching even closer, you can tell that these strange wheeled structures and the riders of creatures and the creatures themselves all seem to be filtering across this gap that is covered by a stone structure that looks very sturdy. There are four great towers that they must pass, two on each side of this platform that they use to cross this chasm. And then past that, then you see this wall, and then there's a word for this. There's an opening in the wall that you can see the carts and the people go in and even a few come out of. It very much seems like the entrance that you seek. However, you do
Oh,
notice there are people, creatures with some form of weapon. You definitely recognize it as weapons. They don't seem to be attacking anyone, but they seem to be figures of authority that keep a watchful eye. They're still, in a sense, but not still like dead. Still like watching.
okay,
And
okay.
even then, they're kind of bad at it. They're not still in the way that you could be still if you put your mind to it. They're swaying slightly in the breeze. You feel like you see them breathing almost.
Oh, huh. Okay, okay. Well, I guess I'll approach.
Absolutely. You will catch progressively more glances as you near this gate. Yes, that's the word, this gate. Your companion will weave in and about your legs, and in a very similar way, you kind of have some conflicting feelings. You feel a little worry, which is not an emotion you've exactly felt before. Almost an anxiety. It's very faint, but nonetheless present. And because it's your first time feeling it, it feels a little disproportionate, like it is strange and new compared to your other feelings of everything from wonder to curiosity and all the emotions in between. Other than that, your ever complicating emotions are disturbed by your thoughts. That thing that was on the tip of your tongue when you first saw this place that feels important. It's it feels like it's coming to you again, and it wants to burst out of you, but it can't because you can't quite remember it, and it's almost frustrating. Um, As you approach, you notice that these authority figures with weapons, you can very much feel that they're looking at you. In fact, a lot of the commotion at the gate has stopped, and they seem to be carefully watching your approach as you draw near. Rose, plenty of time has passed. For you, this has felt like 30 minutes. Um, you've drawn ever closer, and whenever you look at the figure seems to be going the same place you are. And you are just crossing the bridge when, surprisingly, the gatehouse was rather uneventful. They checked the wagon, hardly cast you a glance. They didn't even
Thank
seem to
God.
care that you were a tiefling, which is a little strange. It,
Guess I should say thank gods.
yeah. Nonetheless, your hands brushing against your whip did feel a little warm. Uh,
Okay.
not warm as in like the way it felt before, but slightly above the temperature that it normally would be. Just alert. It is kind of the feeling you get. It was alert
Okay.
in much the way you were, or perhaps still are.
I think I still am.
Yeah.
And maybe, I've breathed a sigh of relief now that I got past the gate with no trouble, but still trying to keep an eye out.
The stone across the bridge is very smooth. It's the smoothest ride you've had on this caravan. What your feet uh, were thanking you for, your bum has certainly not forgiven you for. But admittedly, this is very nice. Running across this very smooth surface. The thought crosses your mind to touch it. It feels so smooth. It's strange. You've known this kind of smoothness before, but that was from a different time. This is a different kind of smoothness. Whereas the stone that made up your once prison was cold, this this is sandstone. It's nothing like what that was.
Hmm,
In a very real
very
sense, you
interesting.
can feel the difference. Um,
You know what? Sorry, I'm just gonna say here, I was thinking about it, and especially with that last detail, I think the heat feels nice on Vengeance. You know, um, Tieflings obviously are a little more at home in the heat, let's say, than the
mm,
cold. So that, sort of natural aspect feels great, but also just, like you said, that the cold stone for so long. Um, this is a more than welcome change of pace.
in a similar vein, you see that stranger, I suppose you can call them. It seems they've made it to the gate, same as you, and once again the caravan comes to a very abrupt halt, and no progress is made, while you can see several guards filter out. To you it seems silent, but you imagine there'd be some commotion. You can't hear the chinking of their armor, but nonetheless you can see a few of them have chain shirts, some gambesson, a few even leather. But as a few, a handful, 4 or 5, filter out of the gatehouse and talk amongst themselves, you think you can see some form of officer. You're not quite sure how you can tell other than the way that they seem to be talking and the others listening to them. In a similar vein, the caravan also has guards, and once again you see that commanding figure amongst the guards ride by you. He's not galloping by any means, but it seems like all of the caravan guards have been keeping close tabs on the stranger that has approached this town. Um, to that end, the caravan guards stride up to the town guard, and the two have a conversation that is very much, it seems to be one-sided. You can't pick it out, but you can certainly tell who is in charge, and it is by far the caravan guard leader. In every sense, he towers above the others. He isn't especially tall for a human, but he commands a presence about him that is commanding but not intimidating. It's that of someone who deserves respect, not someone who takes it. And from the limited amount of time you've seen him, he hasn't seemed to be especially cruel, which has been comforting in a way. Any authority figure is not to be trusted,
Of course.
but a gentler hand is, at least superficially, better than a clenched fist.
That's true.
Aspen, you see these guards, you get a slight feeling of simultaneous curiosity and also tiny sinking feeling, seeing give or take 10 guards total, 4 mounted, talking at this gate and occasionally gesturing towards you. They don't seem to be violent, and you don't exactly get the intuition that they are going to be, but you do feel a sense uneasy and very ostracized.
Oh boy, hooray! Oh man.
And I'm just gonna like, Vengeance will just take mental note of that.
Mental note of what?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know if I could see it all that well, but like, I feel like I've got a keen enough eye for, well, as you said, ostracization.
What's your insight?
So, um, insight, that's a 1.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a +1, no proficiency. So, I
I
guess the stats don't back up my claim.
In a way, the way I interpret that is you would be able to empathize if this was like an organic creature that was
Okay,
wearing their emotions, like if they seemed offended, you could absolutely empathize. This is
I
a
mean,
stone creature.
okay. That's a good
my
enough
face,
explanation.
my face makes expressions as a cat, so you know.
Yeah, as a cat.
I no, that's good enough for me. I buy that. She wouldn't take note of it then.
If you really want, I will allow you to make a roll for this.
Um, I'm kind of torn because this is nothing to Vengeance, but I know that it's my fellow player, so like,
In the interest of roleplay, this is nothing to vengeance. Let it be.
yeah, you know what? I'll stick with the roleplay. She wouldn't. There's no reason to take note of this.
With that in mind, what is your reaction, Aspen?
I guess halt a step and then I guess I'll keep going.
For just a moment, the figure pauses. It's a brief moment, but the steady rhythm that this creature had kept the entire way here is abruptly interrupted. Like clockwork, you could see their approach coming. It was measured, calculated, consistent. And there's a briefest of pauses. Just a brief one. And in that moment, that is when vengeance idly catches those red eyes, and you see a glint of something else. Aspen, describe how your eyes look now that you are closer.
Okay. So it's just one of the eyes, right?
If you
I
want,
mean, it
it
could be
can be
both.
both, but just one is usual for followers of Moria.
Okay, okay. So it's in the left eye. The right eye looks like a normal cut gemstone with its color, but in the other in the left eye, you catch a little glimpse of this far brighter purple. It's almost a lavender type purple. It's still generally the same red color, but instead of glinting like the right eye is with that same like dull red in the light, it's got this odd lavenderish almost glow to it now.
Like a burning coal.
Yeah.
And it's just a moment. It's just a moment. And as soon as this figure returns back to walking and its approach continues. Just the same in all ways before. It's gone. And the figure approaches and is then approached by, we're going to call him the captain of the caravan guard for future reference.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
The captain approaches, mounted, and seemingly intentionally dismounts, has his hands in an open, welcoming gesture, and he says, "Welcome, stranger. You come from the desert. Was your travel long?"
Do I understand him?
Yes, you understand him. Words, on the other hand, not so much. Those aren't coming to you. It's almost as if your thoughts are being overridden and interrupted by wanting to say this one thing. You're sure it's just one word that you need to say that feels you, but it's a name, your name. It's important. It's you. It's who you are, but it's not coming to you and it's frustrating. You don't know how to make sounds with your lips yet, so pronouncing it is going to be different. But just remembering your name is on the tip of your tongue.
Ah. So I'm basically stammering, is what I'm hearing. Like my mouth
Yeah,
is opening and closing.
if you are trying
Like,
to speak, absolutely.
yes, I think I am.
Can I say how I'm like picturing this? For me, it's almost um like an engine turning over. You know, it's like
Yeah,
almost like that, but like the vocal equivalent.
true.
Yeah, probably. It's just like,
All right. Um,
uh,
and you're trying and you hear the sounds that are coming out of your mouth and it's just not working. It's not working at all. You know it's not working, and the man looks confused, a little taken aback, and even if it's not exactly intentional, just defensively, his posture closes some. He seems a little less welcoming, a lot more cautious, and he takes a step back, takes what feels like a more defensive posture. Aspen,
I
question. Uh,
yes,
as I recall, you are an artificer. Uh,
yes.
how familiar were you in your previous life with martial techniques?
Yes. Good question.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I got you. Um, we'll leave it at that for now.
Would I be able to hear this? I'll make a roll now, cause like I saw the eye
I
thing. Um,
I'm gonna say that I was a bit more familiar with martial techniques. Yes.
Okay, that is fine. I will say that will come at the cost of some other things that you were in your previous life, such as if you were to make a religion check. Previously, I would have absolutely given you advantage. Now I'm going to ask you a little more questions if you choose to make this more about give some martial prowess to your creator. Is that all right with you?
Yes. Yes.
With that in mind, yeah, given your knowledge of more martial techniques, you can tell this man's weapon is sheathed. You don't know exactly what it looks like, but it does seem to be made of metal, or at least the sidearm that his hand is now resting on. You notice that very quickly. But
he's fucking
Um,
packing?
all of the people here are packing,
well,
bro.
Like
kind
guns?
No.
of.
Okay.
Sidearm in this case is referring to a short sword. Um,
Okay. Oh my god. I was like, what?
but
Oh, okay.
The caravan pack and heat. No way.
true.
Okay. So, and wait,
Okay,
just to
caravan.
clarify, these guards are they from the city protecting the caravan, or do they travel with us?
um, there are two sets of guards. There's the town guard, and then there's the caravan guard.
Okay.
Of the
What?
caravan guard, there is the captain, as we're
Okay.
referring to him as, and the captain is the only guard who has approached Aspen's character so far. The other guards have stayed back after talking with the captain, and the captain saying something that they all apparently are agreeing to for now.
Okay. I'm gonna
Um,
go back to my previous question then. Can I like hear this or see this
um,
or what?
I'll say you can hear this and see this.
Okay.
Okay. I also take a step back,
Hmm. Okay.
sort of, and I stop trying to make noise. I stop trying to say stuff.
Okay.
Can I
When you,
approach?
oh yes, you can absolutely approach whenever you like.
Okay, I'm gonna hop out of the wagon I was in then and head over to this encounter.
Hmm.
Um, knowing not a lot about really either of these people.
Out of the corner of your eye, Aspen, for the first time, you see a very strange creature, not compared to this human. This human is strange to you, all things considered. You've never seen anything like it. Um, Strange tan pink thing that seems to be clad in something that you can tell is not alive. It glints. It's very shiny. Metal, yes, metal, some kind of metal, and cloth. They appear to be very hot, but hiding it very well. You imagine that this metal would be warm to the touch, but in contrast, there's a character that approaches from the side off of a wagon, you think? You can't tell. Wagon, yes, the moving structures, my bad. Off of a moving structure, they kind of disembark and begin to approach. Um, I'll have you describe your approach in just a moment, Rose, but they they get off of this moving structure and begin to approach. They look completely different to this human in every way. Um, First, I will have you describe you. Well, no. I will let you choose how you describe your approach, but also your character, and I will add something at the end of your character description. With that in mind, please describe your character, Vengeance.
Yes! Oh, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Okay. Walking at a let's say brisk pace, but with a sort of a confused look on her face, right? Like she's trying to remember something that she heard once, but like can't quite. You see this person walking over. She's got this pink skin. I don't really have like a consistent shade for it in my art, but I'm gonna say it's like a dustier pink. She has this dark purple hair, like if you saw it in different lighting, it would almost look black, but under this hot sun, you can tell it's purple. She's wearing these white wraps across her chest, and over that, this leather jacket that is, it doesn't quite look her size. Like it's just ill-fitting. And the same for these lighter pants that she's wearing too. They don't quite look like. Well, I'll be frank, they don't quite look like hers. She's got these horns on her head that have been filed down into these stumps, and the diameter is I'd say like palm size around there. And she's also got this equipment with her. I don't think she's carrying the other stuff that's there in her little mini picture there, but she's definitely got this coiled whip hanging off her belt. Gosh, what else? Oh, yeah. And the eyes are completely black except for these little yellow irises. Except one of them isn't yellow. Baron,
Ro-
stop me if I'm going too far,
I'm.
but
Mm,
I
this
think
is this
the
is the thing that I am going to add. I am
okay.
more than willing to collaborate with you on this. Um,
I was just gonna say the right one. I think the iris is instead a a brighter purple color.
what kind of purple?
Definitely brighter than her hair. It's this
Hmm, would you say that
like
it's Would you say that
Yeah,
it is closer to a lavender?
not quite lavender. I want to say this like angry purple, like purple fire almost, you know?
It looks burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You.
see this. Oh, I forgot to describe her body. She's tall. Like I said, she's like 6'2",
Mm,
and she doesn't. I mean, it's a little hard to see like her muscle mass, right? Looking at her, you wouldn't describe her as necessarily muscular, but when she moves, you can
tone.
see, yeah, you can see this tone underneath her skin that's, hard to deny. Oh, and I've got a tail too. I didn't say that
Oh.
because it's in the picture, but obviously I have a tail.
Right.
And as to that
Okay,
burning
okay.
eye, you don't exactly have much experience with eyes at this point, but of the three that you can see right now, one is not like the others. This human's eyes both are, bluish green. On one of this tiefling's eyes, you don't recognize as a tiefling, but for sake of reference, tiefling. This tiefling's eyes, one is yellow and, although dark, is at least similar to this human's eyes. Um, what's your perception?
Oh, my perception. So
Or actually,
actually, funny.
actually, actually, investigation is what I'd need for this. But continue.
Oh, you need investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I have a +2.
Okay. Proficiency?
No, no proficiency.
Okay, natural +2. Okay. You have a sense of comparing these things, and when you compare them comparatively, three of these eyes look relatively the same, aside from the dark color of the outside for this tiefling's eyes. Other than that, there's one glaring difference between their eyes and especially the human's eyes. I believe you said the right eye, Rose?
Yes,
The
yes, the
right
one on the right.
eye is not only purple, but it looks as though it is burning. You can see various shades of purple, most of them of a lighter color, but various shades of purple. Parts of the eye can be lighter or darker than the other, and it's constantly changing. You can tell something. There's something familiar about this. It doesn't unsettle
Hmm.
you like you logically would think it would. This is very different, but at the same time, this feels good. This feels like someone you can trust. Additionally, beyond your normal sense of perception, you can tell that this person means you no harm.
Okay.
In fact, their arrival seems comforting almost, like finding a
Hmm.
like finding an old friend. Most importantly, you get an innate sense of trust. And this person
Okay.
approaches, and seeing you approach, uh, seeing you approach Vengeance, the captain of the guard will glance towards you. Careful, it may be injured or malfunctioning. I can tell it's some kind of structure, but keep your distance.
I'm going to. I think. I don't even think I look at him. I just like my gaze is just transfixed upon
Fun.
Aspen's character, the stranger, and gosh, I don't even know what to do in this situation. Um, I think she's gonna say like, "You're familiar."
Hmm. And the captain of the guard is going to look and see who you're speaking to. Uh, Aspen, you will notice that his gaze does not fully shift. He still knows that you're there, and he's still defensive. He is curious. He's not hostile, exactly. He just seems ready to defend from an attack. And, in a way, when the words that you hear come out of this tiefling's mouth, they seem to calm him in a way. His emotions seem to be different. You can't quite tell what. You are by no means an expert on emotions to begin with, much less of some alien race. But there is a change in the man. His sword arm, at least, becomes more relaxed. and more grips the hilt rather than is ready to draw. Similarly, his shoulders slightly untense. He's still ready. He's just not expecting now, is kind of the vibe you get. Um,
Okay, okay.
Similarly, after looking at this tiefling for a moment and seeing that eye, you have an epiphany, a moment of truth, and you
Ooh.
remember your name and how to say it. You
Is
feel
that all
like
I remember?
you feel like words can flow through you for a moment. It's more of an intuition on how to speak rather than a knowledge of how to do it. If you wish to say any one short sentence, non-complex, I will allow you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd probably say my name, huh?
Please say it in character. You don't need to do a
Uh,
funny voice. Just whatever
oh,
feels
got it.
natural. If you want to, you can. Absolutely. But don't feel pressured.
Whoever built this thing decided that it needed working eyelids for some reason, so it blinks, which is weird enough. And then,
Question, Aspen, is that
yes.
your cat side? Because I have a cursory knowledge of how cats work. So if you say something is more of a feline kind of trait, I will do some things with that. And if you say it's more of a humanoid-like trait, I'll leave it be
Oh, okay. Um,
because that does mean
it's
something in cat language, and it is good.
right, right, right. It's more akin to the creator than it is to feline, this blink, I'll say.
Absolutely. Continue.
So I guess it would be more. I guess it's kind of a mix of both, considering my knowledge of cat lingo.
Okay. I will say that vengeance. You get a feeling that when this blink happens, you there's definitely a connection here. This was in a small way a sign of trust.
And then I say, I am Bakmi. Uh, for the note takers out there, that Bakhmi.
The guard's posture will soften some more. It's still not where it was and is by no means open, but the guard will look between the two of you and say, well met. Seems as though you two share something. So
Okay,
long
I'm
as you do
going
not
to.
cause any issues for this town or this caravan, you are welcome to do as you please. I will leave you to your company. And he will kind of nod his head respectfully at Bakmi, and then proceed to mount his horse and move along. You still very much feel like you're being watched, but cautiously.
Okay. I'm glad that resolved itself because I was going to do something if it didn't. I think I like looked at him as he left, right? So I'm going to turn back to Bakmi and I'm going to say, um, they call me Vengeance.
I'm guessing I can't speak anymore.
It's going to be difficult. Thinking back, you are a very logical mind. You understand roughly the syllables that you pronounced, and they very much feel right. Just you can think of a word and then pronouncing it is weird. I think the weirdest part for you is that when you think of what you just said, the syllables that you think about making are not the syllables you just made. Like it feels like different language. And language is the thought that is flowing through your mind. That feeling of anxiety has ebbed and flowed throughout this entire interaction, but it remains as a now not so welcome force in this new interaction.
Ah, okay. So, man, I don't even know what I'd say. Maybe I'd ask about the whole eye thing, huh? Or at least try to.
Okay. this will be our first roll of the night. Uh,
No! Let's
I've
fucking
been
go!
I'm going to need two things. First off, I
okay.
am going to need you to make me a wisdom roll. We'll make that roll second because I have a few questions. But firstly,
Okay.
we're going to need you to make a intelligence save to figure out pronouncing some vowels.
Okay. Let me see. What do I get for int? Oh, I have a proficiency in intelligence saving throws, so that would be I had 23, non-natural.
Ooh, excellent.
Ooh.
Every single syllable that you used in your sentence, you now know how to pronounce well. All of the consonants, you have a general idea of how they work. Mostly in that context, but you also heard the way the others were speaking, and you might be able to glean some information there. To that end,
Okay.
you roughly kind of are getting a feeling for whatever this language is. Now make me a
It's a nat
wisdom
20.
check. Oh, for the
It's
wisdom?
it's it's a nat 20.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Okay.
Oh my fucking god. Huge
Ooh,
I
rolls for
used up all of
talking.
hot.
my luck.
Okay,
I
so
used up all my luck with the first two rolls of the game. Oh no.
common is somewhat. It feels like it's very easy to pick up. Knowing what you know about consonants and syllables and the kind of the roughly the structure of the language, even you've got a decent idea of how to form some simple sentences. You can definitely try it out. If you were to, for roleplay purposes, you can make a few errors here and there. Just nothing serious, but you can very much be understood. Your grammar is a little wonky sometimes, and the way you pronounce things is more like they'd literally be, such as the difference between for, F-O-U-R, for, F-O-R, and that kind of thing, that's going to be fucky for you. But other than that, you've got a pretty good grasp of what's going on. I would argue a really good grasp. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of that comes intuitively. Though the consonants don't feel quite right, roughly the sounds you make are similar. Maybe you pronounce your S's in particular a little funny.
I wonder what that one's about. Okay, cool. Cool. Hmm. So I will ask Vengeance, what was your eye doing?
I don't know. What was your eye doing?
Can I still see the eye glow?
Um, Given that others are currently watching you, and given a few other factors, I will say it has slowly faded from your view. You have a burning memory of what it looked like, and not necessarily a bad one either, but it very much made an impression, clearly. And you don't think you'll forget it anytime soon.
Okay. Your eyes. It was just one, right?
Yes,
Or was it both?
it was just one.
Okay.
No, it's just one.
One was glowing.
I mean, yours too. I mean, that's why I came over. I saw your left eye was like purple or something.
You hear the bustle of the caravan moving without you now.
Oh shit. Come with me. And I'm gonna try and catch back up.
Okay.
Oak.
Your driver is just in the process of being processed a second time and being let through. Pretty much the equivalent of getting a ticket at the first gate, going through the main gate while people were watching you, and now that you're at the city walls, that ticket is being like reviewed. Okay, yeah, you're good. You can come in, that kind of thing. You just catch the driver, and the driver kind of catches a look at you and looks at the figure you're bringing with you. That's too heavy to fit on this cart. You're gonna have to go on foot, but you can follow along, I guess.
Oh dang, the cart can't carry an extra. Hold on, I rolled a die for this. 779 pounds?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, they need to start making better wagons, man.
true. Damn, quality's gone down.
Okay.
SMH.
She'll just be like, fine, whatever, and I'll grab the rest of my stuff that I left in the cart when I ran out, and I'll just walk alongside it, I guess.
As you enter, wagons have been entering for some time. The people seem to have once been seeing this as some sort of spectacle, but have since mostly dispersed. There seem like there are more people inside the gates than there normally would be otherwise. This doesn't seem to be an especially busy part of town. Most of this is directed towards Vengeance, because Vengeance has much better sense of cities and towns and groups of people.
What?
But
Yeah.
simultaneously, they're dispersing slowly. Some of them look whenever something catches their fancy, but for the most part, most of them are actually filtering towards where the wagons are heading. And you have heard that the caravan will usually stay 1, 2 nights in the towns they cross through. 2 nights if it's a small town, because the entire caravan can't fit. In some cases, towns' populations double because of the caravan alone. Uh, but in larger towns like this, it's usually 1 night, maybe two if business is good. But the caravan will set up shop. In major cities, or even anything approaching a city, they're more likely to spend a week or so because trade is more lucrative. For some reason, people seem to be setting up shop, you notice as you come into this sizable, but by no means impressive, market square. It's already crowded with how many tents and pavilions and makeshift storefronts are being set up. There are wagons everywhere, and finding a spot per se seems to be something of annoyance for the wagon driver. He grumbles about it to himself, loud enough that you can hear, but not quite loud enough that you can hear what he's saying. During all of this commotion, what is your two's conversation,
Oh, okay.
if you choose to have one?
Yeah. Um, so, like, what are you? I've never really seen something like you before.
Do I know what I look like?
Uh, I mean, you've seen your hands, I guess. On the note of that, this is me giving you, Aspen, some time to contemplate such questions. Your cat, given your previous natural 20 roll, will absolutely give you some insight into what you look like. You know that you are old. You also know that you're not the same as these fleshy creatures. I use fleshy not so
Right.
much that you know what flesh is, but to describe the squishiness of flesh as compared to stone. Rose, you and Vengeance getting a better look at this being, you see all kinds of intricate detail. It's incredibly foreign, but some elements seem familiar. It seems old, uh, even though it is very elegantly made. And even though it seems to be in very good condition, you can tell there are little tiny hints of age. The most interesting thing that stands out to you is still those eyes. It feels like there's a soul in there. Like, you get the feeling that the stone, if you were to touch it, it's almost like the sandstone of the bridge. It's warm, not cold. Perhaps even warmer than the sandstone bridge you crossed.
Okay. Can I
Um,
make can I make some sort of roll to see if I can connect? Because, okay, my reasoning here is that I have already reached out to Moria, right?
mm,
We talked about in session 0 that it was kind of like I read about her or something. I wasn't super clear, and I'm not going to be super specific, but like, can I make some sort of check to see if I, um, during that, saw that Moria used to be associated with like a cat image?
I'm going to say no to that.
Okay.
Any literature or knowledge of such a thing would be long lost by now. Visage of
Okay.
a cat connection? Probably not. If you did manage to stumble upon that revelation, it would be by accident, not because of anything else,
Okay.
literature-wise. However,
Then the
Moria,
eye.
when you were making your detailed contract, Moria absolutely would tell you to look for the glowing eye. Those are friends.
Okay. Then I won't even roll. I'll just like remember that.
Yes, that is me, the DM, saying you don't need to roll for that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll remember that and I'll go. Oh my, Moria? Are you like, is that you? No,
um,
you're
be
Bach
careful
me.
about saying Moria out loud. You also know that Moria very much has a reputation. It's not necessarily a positive one, and you are in a crowded space. I'll let you say it if you want, but you do know that information.
Okay. Then let me rephrase. Are you, is that, you're not like a goddess or anything, are you?
Do I know that? I know that I would know that information, right?
You
Like that
know
I'm
that
not.
you are of holy make. You know that you're not necessarily a god. Like, the word god does not describe you. You very much know that. But you do know that you are connected to maybe even gods? At least one god. That feels right.
Okay.
Um, before you answer, I just want to have one little thing. Um, looking into these eyes, where you can almost see that purple glow again. You don't see it, but you you very intuitively know it's there. You notice that around the eye sockets, if you will, which these gems have been pressed into this sculpture, it looks as though beings, perhaps multiple, perhaps one, made dedicated attempts to pry those gems out. Like, there is evident damage on everything from the eyelids to around the eyes, even as far as the eyebrows. Like, sometimes this was very sloppy work, or desperate, or both. Um, and you can tell it was not it was not time that did this. It unmistakably not time. These are very clear chisel implements.
Right.
Presumably strong ones from the dents they've left.
Right.
They almost look like scars in a way.
Hmm. Anyway, um, yeah. Are you a goddess?
I'm no, not that.
Mm.
I am of God.
A word formulates in your head, a word you haven't heard before, but you know, and it kind of feels right. Of the divine sounds right.
Of the divine.
Hmm. I think you and I may share a common friend up above, I mean.
That statement holds more to it than just the words, and because of your natural 20, I'll say that you kind of pick up on that. It seems like this person, this vengeance, is implying that you have a deity in common, and you're inclined to believe them.
Hmm, that makes sense. What is my visage?
Like, what do you look like?
That that
Um,
thing.
yeah, you're, I don't know, like a old statue, I guess. Um, I mean, you're moving around, so I guess you're not just a statue, but like, you've got like a cat head and a normal body, or one like everyone around here, I guess.
I blink twice. These aren't the friendliness blinks. These are kind of like a I blink a couple of times like startled looking. Well, they're different from the friendliness ones, at least.
Um, Vengeance has like a shield, so actually I think she's gonna be like, oh wait a sec, and then just like pull it off like her back or whatever and try to show Bachmi the reflection.
Most shields are wooden. Why would you have one with a metal outer coating?
I don't know.
I
um,
will allow it because dwarves are prone to such things,
I mean
but
it could also
just
just be like a little like the little metal bit in the middle. I don't know what that's called, but like you know how
a
some shields have a
boss.
little.
A boss,
Yeah,
yes.
some shields
Bosses,
have that.
well, if they're well polished, which I don't imagine yours is, can absolutely reflect things. Using them like a mirror is interesting because they are protrusions. It's closer to having like a shiny, smooth metal fist than it is to having a mirror. So that one, not so much. But I will allow you to have a metal outer coating to your shield. Absolutely.
Um, okay, how about I'll like take it out and I'll look at it and I'm like, maybe not, and then I think I'll look around and there'll be like
There is an
maybe it's
ornate
literally a mirror,
there is an
but I'll
ornate
just
silver mirror for sale at a nearby table. You know the price is probably far too much, but there's no harm in looking at it, is there?
yeah, okay, I'll be like, hey, come here, come look in the mirror. It'll do
I
better than my words can.
I look in the mirror.
The first thing that strikes you about your visage is your own eyes. Seeing yourself, you can see the purple coal almost in your eye. It's very
What?
apparent to you, very clear. In a way, it's beautiful, the way it shimmers. It's almost crystalline, but not at the same time. Your other eye, while still beautiful, doesn't quite hold as much emotion.
Ooh, shiny.
True. The next thing you noticed, unless you want to notice something different, of course, is you notice the scars almost around those eyes. It feels sad and it kind of fills you with almost a disgust and a rage. You don't remember being hurt per se, but you know that someone definitely had to hurt you to do that. And
Hmm.
beyond that, you see your own features. You are well cut. The detail goes down as far as the fur on your face. There's an almost magical, otherworldly element to it compared to the comparatively mundane surroundings around you. While you are cut of the same stone, there is a clear difference in quality. You are what the
Big.
Mona Lisa is to what someone makes at a paint with a twist.
Um, I was
Like,
about to
don't get
say
me
the Mona Lisa is an NFT.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, the stonework around you isn't bad by any means. It's actually rather good. It's just not it's not on the same world as the craftsmanship that went into you. This is the difference between a beginner kind of journeyman level, like someone who does this for a living but isn't necessarily what you would call skilled, and that of a master.
Okay, okay.
And that's part of why it feels violating for such detail to be hacked at with a chisel. That is
Um,
more like the work of a preschooler or a kindergartner. It's
okay,
ugly,
got it,
it's
got it.
wrong, and worst of all, it's trying to take your eyes, which you feel very attached to. I don't want to
Right,
Literally.
say
right.
I don't want to say you're filled with rage, but it
Surely you're
is
not happy.
it is frustrating in a way that you can't quite put to words.
Right.
It is greatly upsetting and a little distressing.
Obvious. Right, right.
A small part of you feels like tracking down who did that to you and doing the same to them. Um,
Hmm.
for that, for that, and as you are looking at yourself in the mirror, uh, the shopkeep begins to talk to you, Vengeance, and you. Unless you want to do something otherwise, you can stall absolutely to let your companion kind of take themselves in this mirror. Um,
Oh yeah,
it
totally.
it does seem like they're looking at themselves for the first time in many ways. As that happens, a singular cloud kind of foreshadows over the marketplace.
Okay.
The light dims, and Bakme, you can see yourself in very much a different light, a darker light, and your eye seems to glow more brightly. It doesn't seem to be affected in any way by the covering of the sun. And the cloud passes.
Ooh.
It's a small cloud, and it was a little spotty with light to begin with, but the sun returns, and the merchant is growing a little wary, mostly because a giant stone statue is holding a delicate silver mirror, possibly made for nobility that has been likely acquired through dubious means, and definitely means a lot to this shopkeeper and is worth, as far as you can tell, Vengeance, a lot more than all of your possessions combined. Several times that.
Yeah.
At this point,
I'll just.
at this
Yeah.
point, the merchant is trying to pin you down into a asking price.
I'll just say we'll be on our way soon. My friend is just
Absolutely, and with the mirror, it will accompany you. And do tell, what did you say you were willing to pay?
uh no,
Well,
my friend is just a
if you want to know the value of such an item, I can tell you that it is, oh, a mere 1,000 gold pieces, a bargain for such an item.
listen, friend, we're not here to buy your mirror.
Well,
My
then
friend
put
just
it
needs to
down.
my friend just needs to see uh what Vengeance is gonna turn to Bachman and say, what do you go by? What are your pronouns, I guess? The medieval pronoun ask.
True.
Do I do I know what my pronouns would be? Would have been?
um,
Are? Do I know what pronouns are actually?
the word pronoun floats through
Probably.
your mind like, what the fuck? It floats around in your head, and I will let you determine how you will react to it. Eventually, you remember what that word means. It takes you longer than most of these other words. It didn't seem relevant at the time, and it certainly jars you out of your thoughts and your mirror looking. In a moment, you can realize what pronouns are and determine them for yourself.
Oh, okay. Um, oh, pronoun.
Aspen, what is your intimidation?
Oh, what is my intimidation?
I'll tell you, Vengeance's is pretty good.
Vengeance hasn't said that they want to be intimidating yet.
Well, I'm not gonna turn it on just yet, but
Oh, okay.
as soon as I know these pronouns, I think I'm gonna make an intimidation roll. Like, leave us alone, man.
I have base intimidation. I have nothing.
Okay, base intimidation. Um,
Yeah,
the
I
merchant
don't do.
directs his attention towards you once you start speaking. Ah, dear customer, it seems your friend here is trying to prevent you from buying. Please let me tell you why this is a mistake. And he starts droning on and on about history of this thing, and looking at it, it doesn't seem that old, but he talks about people who seem like they should be important. Uh, he talks surprisingly quickly. It's a little hard to follow. You're not a master of common yet, and you get the gist of it. Like he's making it seem grandiose. It looks like a little thing to you, and it's certainly shiny. Not as shiny as your eyes, but shiny in its own way, as shiny as metal can be, certainly. It does look nice, and it does seem to be crafted well, of a style that you are unfamiliar with and does not look like yours, but it's arguable to say that this is a masterwork. Perhaps not of the same quality that you're made, but nonetheless, it is a true specimen of its craft.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay, and to, I imagine, your surprise, Vengeance, as the merchant begins talking, uh, your companion uh, listens, and unless you want to say something, uh, I need to remember names. Can you send the name in the Discord chat so that I freaking remember it?
I Yeah, I will do that. You're gonna love the cat's name later too.
Bakamoi, Bakamoi is entertaining this merchant, perhaps out of naivety, perhaps out of interest, or perhaps with a hidden motive. Who knows? Maybe they can afford this thing.
Oh man. I just asked for some pronouns.
True,
Now I
but
gotta sit through this sales pitch.
true. Sitting through this sales pitch, if you want, you can make a roll, or otherwise I will use your passive investigation to determine if you can tell. Not so much if. You've got a pretty good idea that, at least a little bit, this guy's bullshitting, but how much is. We'll see if you listen in or not. If you listen in, please make me an
Can
active roll. If not, I will take your modifier.
can I tell how much he's bullshitting?
Um, yes, it's going to be a more difficult roll for you, but I will absolutely allow you to make. I would say this is more intuitive for you, so I would say you can make a perception on this.
Mhm.
I'll roll.
It's a natural 20.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
god!
Okay, so this guy's hiding a lot of stuff. As not intentionally a purveyor of nice things, while this is a masterwork, it is a replica. A very good replica, but a replica. The silver content, since now you know that is the metal that it was forged with dilution for starters. There is a shine to it. It is very shiny, intentionally so. It's actually been magically enhanced. It isn't quite as shiny. Don't get me wrong, this thing was crafted well. It is in a way a mastercraft. It's the kind of a forgery that is made so well that forgeries are made of it. So it's good. It is really good, genuinely, but it's not what he claims it to be. um,
Okay, so unfortunately, I have no social skills. I say all of that out loud.
Oh, he gets so red in the face.
Oh my
As you
god.
start tearing this apart, he tries to interject several times, but his voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter until he attempts to grab it from your hand, and because his strength score is shit, he does not do so. After that, he asks for a meager 50 gold pieces to get you away from his stall. You notice that several people have walked off, overhearing your description.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do?
Hmm.
I'm going to try to use my intimidation and say, hey, listen, as soon as we're done looking at this mirror, we'll leave, alright?
Please leave my shop. Or at least stop speaking of the mirror in this way. It is truly a relic. It wasn't made that recently. It does have artificial signs of age and tastefully done, but it was made probably somewhere within like the last 5 years. It is by no means the 50 years old he's claiming it to be.
Which I, of course, dutifully report on out loud.
Oh, no, stop, stop! I
I'll,
promise you it is not. See, look at the, and he points to a magical feature that you promptly point out is a magical feature, and proves
Of
so
course.
by, do you want to be gentle with this at this point, or do you want to be rough?
I'm handling it like I would handle any other object. Remember to handle any other object.
Well, you remember how to handle delicate things, and this seems like a delicate thing, all things told. Like I said, even though it's a fake, it's a very, very good fake. That said, you
uh,
know it's a fake.
in case you're curious, I
Yes.
rolled a not natural 20 on my intimidation, so
Oh shit. Okay. Give me 1 second. I will absolutely let you chime in for that role, what you say. Asp uh, so, when you say how you handle any other object, do you mean like handle the bow that you made, or do you mean handle like a watch or complex machinery, because that's kind of roughly
Probably,
akin.
probably like a watch. I know that this is a fake, but it's very well done, and he seems to care about the mirror, so I'll handle it with relative care in comparison to like the bow that I made. I'm not like brandishing this like this isn't like a stick of deodorant I'm grabbing onto here. It's more like
Yeah,
a silver mirror or something. I don't know.
yeah, true. Um, as you raise your hand, his eyes go wide. He thinks you're going to break it. He gets frantic, and just before he tries to take it from you again, out of desperation this time, you very gently, well, compared to what it was going to look like, you very gently simply wipe at the area with your finger. And as you do so, you make it apparent to the three of you watching that this was under the effect of several spells, but in this case, prestidigitation, and
Yeah.
and you just wipe at it, and as you wipe at it enough, you have an innate knowledge of magic well enough that you make the spell fade, revealing a not so subtle set of aging that just vanishes. At that, the man completely melts as several people are now gathering, not just leaving the shop, but gathering and laughing.
Oh man.
um, Most of them are natives who are kind of used to the bullshitting of these particular merchants, but you can also see there's a caravan guard or two that is smiling and smirking. This merchant is very red now. He seems to be sweating. Yeah, he's looking and he's very, very unsettled. What's your intimidation? You said it was 20, but what do you say, Vengeance?
So he is like sort of having a meltdown here, right?
Starting to.
Mhm.
Okay.
Stammering is the best way to describe his current state.
Okay. I'm gonna say, hey pal, look, let us just look at your shitty little mirror for a little bit more. You go sell some other fake nonsense that I'm sure you've got. We won't tell all these people that you're selling fakes, and you won't make us buy your stupid fucking mirror. Deal?
Fine, keep it. Just get it away from my shop.
Oh hell yeah, we
Ooh,
get to keep it.
shiny.
You know what Vengeance is gonna do?
Yeah.
She's gonna like climb up a little bit or like stand on something so she's like above the like small crowd that's gathered, and she's gonna say, hey, any of you guys want a 50 gold mirror?
The the crowd,
Oh
having heard most of this, unless you were wanting to whisper, uh,
No.
is going to jeeringly shout and cheer, and otherwise mock this merchant who is going to pretty much cower and kind of collect his wares and retire for the night. This ruined his day. When you
I'm just here
do
like, oh shit.
when you do this, uh, Vengeance, you get a very good feeling. Um, a little unnatural almost. Let's see, Bak- Bakami? Yeah, Bakami, right? Bakami?
Nope, nope. Don't use the H.
Bakami.
Just bop me.
Bakami. Thank you. Bakami,
Yeah.
you you notice that your fellow's eye is glowing. No one seems to notice that. It's not glowing very strongly, certainly not as strongly as the first time you saw it, but while they're saying their little statement on their soapbox and enjoying the praise they get, you see just this faint little power almost coming from them. In no small way, perhaps the audience was tipped a little in your favor.
Hmm.
Um,
Fascinating.
yeah.
I'll keep that one to myself though.
To that end, the star of the show is most definitely you, and you get several compliments as well. You notice that there are some more wealthy people, and some of the soldiers chip in. Between all of that, seeing as neither of you have like a hat or some kind of receptacle, there will be several people that come up to overall the both of you, but um, mostly Bakami, yeah, Bakami, and attempt to offer you coins of some sort, is what they seem to you. They seem mostly silvery and bronze or copper, perhaps. Copper you settle on.
Okay,
Oh, cool.
okay.
Free money.
There is one who seems to be rather well off, who hands Bakami a coin that is not quite silver. It's much closer to the mirror almost in terms of shininess, and
No.
it looks pristine. Vengeance, you recognize it as a platinum. This
Yeah, I
appears to
think
be,
Vengeance is gonna gasp in character too. She's gonna go.
but this person, this rich noble, who is behind enough clothes that you can't really tell gender exactly. You presume they would be warm in this getup, whatever it is, but they say, "Excellent job. I have need of someone with a refreshed eye. Would you care to accompany me as I peruse this market?
Oh, dang. Sure.
You
Can
may
I
take
do
your
like an?
friend with you."
Can I do like insight or something?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
I'm a little suspicious. Okay, I got 16 plus 1, so 17.
17. All right. With a 17, yeah, you definitely sense something off. You don't remember someone like this being in the caravan. You do know that there are several mages, and you also know that people, especially a certain kind of people, not necessarily bad, but people who prefer discretion, tend to be in places where the caravan goes. You've heard stories of mages appearing before the merchant that they want with the item that they want, negotiating very briefly, and then popping out of thin air. Things like this you've heard stories of. They're a very popular campfire story, and they're not unheard of in the caravan. It's just normally a rare event. And the smaller a town this happens in, the more discretion the individual wants. They don't want a lot of witnesses to necessarily what they're purchasing. Sometimes it seems like benign things, other times they happen to know that a certain merchant has a hidden stock of pristine human skulls, and they buy the entire stock. That kind of thing.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
I'll have your entire shot.
yes, other times they know about enchanted weapons or swords or wands or tomes. Sometimes, and this instance very much comes to mind for you, there was some form of being, I guess is the best way to put it. Calling them humanoid is a stretch of the word. They stank terribly, but they appeared and they were floating. They almost appeared as a ball. Not in the sense of like an angel, but like people were very off put by this, and rightfully so. According to the story, one person, through incompetence or otherwise, crossed the path of this mage and were physically whisked aside, knocked to the ground. They were knocked into a stall, and though nothing broke in the stall, that's because the stall itself was pretty much frozen in time for a few moments. Afterwards, this creature, whatever it was, bought an extremely valuable alchemical ingredient that the owner wasn't even looking to sell. They had a buyer in a few towns over. That's the only reason why they had this to begin with. There were several guards who were posted around this item. It was so valuable, and the guards were very much at the ready. This creature didn't seem intimidated by the slightest. Practically, you could feel the sneer that it had as it offered triple the price. Proceeded
Oh.
to take the item, come back to where it had came, where there was suddenly some kind of rune circle thing, and zipped out of existence. And this very much
Well,
has the same
then.
vibe.
Yeah. Hmm.
Perhaps
Okay,
that story was embellished, but
I'll keep my eye on him.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a thing at the moment.
yes, there are stories of mages who have you don't know all of this. I'm gonna make sure I get this name right. Bakami. You don't know this, Bakami. Any of this. You have not been traveling with this caravan. You have no idea. But as far as Vengeance is concerned, Vengeance knows that this is definitely a high-profile person.
Right, but vengeance is probably not gonna stop me from doing this then.
That's up to Vengeance,
Um,
not me.
I mean, I won't stop you, but like, if you're gonna do it, then like, as this person's like headed off, I'll like nudge you or something and like quietly say like, "Hey, just keep your wits about you with this one."
There is no need to
Okay,
fear
okay.
Vengeance.
I mean, you know my name and I didn't tell you, so that's a little reason to fear.
Do not cross me, but you knew that
I.
already.
Mhm.
Tell me, what interests you, either of you, about this squalid little place?
Do I just say the thing about the freaking fire that I saw coming and that's why I came here, or?
You can if you'd like.
Well, I was wandering in the desert and I saw a flame, so that probably meant something, and so I came to Luke.
Of note, this character, their face is covered, and it is covered by a Venetian mask. Their
Oh,
dress is very fancy. Um, and what's your guys' passive perception?
11
13.
is better.
So with a 13, I will say that given the relative size of their clothes, back of me, there we go, back of me. Given the relative size of their clothes, they're a little taller than they should be. It's a little weird. Um, their clothes are
Hmm.
extremely ornate, just as alien to you as any other, but very ornate. Vengeance, you don't recognize the clothes either. They definitely seem to be very well made, but they're not something you're familiar with. They're certainly not dwarven make.
Hmm.
You've heard rumors that the elves might have clothes like this. It doesn't really fit the descriptions you've had, but it definitely looks as beautiful as elvish wear.
Interesting.
As you are walking and you're describing the fire, I assume, Bakami?
Yeah.
As you're describing that, you pass by a kind of different kind of fire. It is the first torch being lit. Not because night is fast approaching, but because, sun's getting later in the sky. And it's being held by a guard who passes by. And in this very brief glint of light, Vengeance sees the glint of the light off of Bakami's eye, the red eye specifically. Bakami, you see briefly almost inside the Venetian mask. And when I say that, I mean where normally you would see illumination, like something in there. Either the glass is tinted or there's nothing in there. There's darkness. There's nothing. Um,
Hmm. Schmancy.
and this creature then proceeds to say, "Forgive me. I must take my leave for a moment. I will be back. All I require is that either one of you find something of interest. I don't care what it is. Just find something to interest me. I will reward you,
Oh,
of course."
okay, okay. Something to interest this person, place, thing, or creature.
And they kind of turn and fade away, and there's a plume of black smoke. It it seems to almost take a shape. I would like one or both of you to make religion checks.
My religion is 0, so you'll probably do better than me.
Reasonable. Um,
4.
4. Excellent. Are you sure you don't want to roll vengeance?
I mean, I'll roll. Oh! I dropped my dice. Hold on. I got 10.
Okay.
You're doing better
Uh,
than me.
it looks like some kind of feather almost as it dissipates. Kind of reminds you of that, you guess.
Cool. Dang, that's crazy.
True. And you two are once again semi alone. It's kind of weird. People avoided you, but not like consciously, and they also didn't really take any heed whatsoever to the creature that you were walking with. And you're left once again
Um,
alone with each other's company.
There's something
okay.
weird about that guy,
Oh,
Bachmi, I'm telling you.
well, let's hear him out.
Do what you will, but I'm just saying, if things go tits up, don't say I didn't warn you.
Do I know what that expression means?
Absolutely not. Tits is a strange word to you. It's a colloquialism, and you've never heard it before.
I mean,
So if you go hajibajija, if things go hajibajija up, don't say I didn't warn you. Is pretty much what you heard.
Um, what are tits?
oh, like, uh, breasts? I mean,
You know
I
that
guess,
word.
like,
Um,
yeah. Like, if you, like,
why?
pushed over a cow, then, like, it's, or, like, you know, then its tits would be up. So it's like, it means that if, it means something goes bad. If things go bad.
Oh, oh,
Again, given the natural 20 from getting long ago, you get the feeling that this is an expression, not so much like the word tits means that.
right. In case you're wondering, oak is just okay pronounced out, and
True.
that is why I keep saying that.
Which I love, by the way. Keep doing that.
Okay.
I will keep tits in mind.
That's not. Yeah. You know what? You do that.
um,
um, I don't really know what to do now. I sort of went after you on a whim. Um, I mean, I guess we can find that
Then,
weirdo something interesting.
hmm, we
I got the.
shall look
Yeah.
around the market to find a things.
And we do. We we do that.
okay.
Okay.
What are you
So
looking for?
I don't know, something weird.
shiny. Something shiny.
Shiny, you say? Like shiny metal,
Yes.
shiny gem, any of the above? Like, what would you say interests your characters, or do you think would interest such a character like this? Give me some item ideas.
And
I don't know.
I saw something that was like reminiscent of feathers, so I think I'll look for like feathery things.
You see some clothes that look feathery, have feathers at least. You see, there are several very beautiful, actually, bronze birds that, the expensive ones, can even flap their wings. One can even fly.
That would interest me.
I mean, yeah, that I just wanted to get something kind of to mess with this person, like, hey, I'm on to you as much as is possible with just the vague knowledge that they there's something feather. So yeah, vengeance is that'll do.
I mean, okay. Um, so like, you're talking about the mechanical bird, right?
Yeah.
Mm, let's see. I can give you some more options if you want to keep looking.
No, I like the bird.
All right. The
I
bird
also
is
like the bird, but maybe I also like bird. Is it shiny bird?
kind of. It's got runes etched into it, which to you
Okay,
seems kind of crude, but it is kind of interesting.
but it's also flying.
Well,
Most
true,
statues don't move. Most of
true.
them.
This one flies in a sense. It flies in a circle, and it will absolutely run into an object if an object is placed in front of it. So it's not quite that impressive, but it's interesting.
Well, I think it's neat, at least.
And that's fair. So, are you both choosing the bird?
Wait.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? If Bakfi's gonna choose the bird, then Ventus is gonna choose something else, just like just to see what happens.
Something else at that stall, or
I mean, I don't know. What? Is there anything that would, I don't know, speak to her?
hmm? Hmm, roll me insight.
Okay, okay. That is a 14.
Not bad. You feel like birds is definitely the right direction. That does kind of fit the aesthetic. Looking back, they did kind of have feathery clothes in a way, but they didn't look like feathers either. Feathery clothes does seem to be like wrong, not that kind of thing. They had a lot of bird-like imagery. The mask, the Venetian mask, has a kind of nose to it, a bird-like mouth in a way. Um, in many ways, they did look like a bird. They had a cape that almost looked like wings. They
Okay.
yeah, like kind of dark bird is the vibe that you get.
Hmm. Interesting. And you know what? Um, is there like a? I mean, I'm saying is there, but like maybe there's like a bright, like it's got like a lot of colors, like a cloak or something that's like just made of these like bright feathers.
Oh yes, there are plenty of those.
Yeah,
You can even
I
get
think
stuff for like costumes.
yeah, she'll just like find like the flashiest like feather cloak that she can find.
As you do, um, and you return back to where Bakmi is. First off, you notice that the merchant doesn't notice you take it, which is a little weird. But you make it over, and Bakmi is having a similar experience with the bird. Um, Merchant doesn't even notice you guys, doesn't even notice it's missing, I guess, like that you're around it. And all at once, there's a calm that comes to a otherwise turbulent marketplace, not in a physical sense, but like in a stillness to the air. And a torch nearby goes out. You feel the presence before you see it. This same figure. Both of you roll investigation for me.
Okay.
God, I got a 13 again. But that's gonna be 15.
Damn.
8.
Okay. This is very nice. I like this.
Oh no! Oh no!
Vengeance. You see a drop of something red on the Venetian mask.
Oh fuck! She's gonna
It's just for a
like
moment,
hand to the whip again.
and then it immediately turns brown, and then kind of to like gray dust that floats away as though pushed by a breeze, like ash in the wind. And the figure is already looking at you, and it tilts its head, and looks to your whip, and you can almost feel not necessarily a smirk, but the way a parent would look upon a child doing something cute, even if they were trying to be intimidating. And with just a hint of jovialness to their tone, they say, "You have a sense of humor. Well, I do find that interesting." And you'll notice that the voice has changed slightly since the last time you heard it. This happens for both of you, of course. And to that effect, the cloak that you are holding, Vengeance, is going to, as this figure simply casts their arm aside, not it casting a spell, or as you understand it, casting a spell, but with the mere wave of a hand, it turns into a cloak that looks somewhat similar to the cloak that this figure is currently wearing, but it has a purplish sheen to it. It glints in the faraway torchlight with purple hues, and the figure says, "Much better. I accept your gift." And you feel the cloak lifted from your hands very much by magic, and it drapes itself around the figure, who now has two cloaks that seem to merge into one. And now there is a purple.
It's a shame, you would have looked great in those bright colors.
When you see me again, I promise the cloak will return to its previous state. And what have you brought, dear Bakami? The figure will turn to you, all in one motion, not so much snapping to you, but it's as though as they're already looking at you before their visage could possibly see you.
It's a bird
I see.
of bronze, enchanted with some kind of crude-ish runes, but it flies in a circle. Look. And let it do its thing.
Lovely. For both of your troubles. You can feel the figure's gaze, though it does not look at you, Vengeance. For both of your troubles. Here, have another. And this time the platinum piece has um, a dried drop of blood on it, and is flicked to you. Uh, and when I say you, I mean specifically Vengeance. The figure kind of flips it, and it goes over their shoulder and near enough to you where, if you want, you can catch it. From
I
there,
think
the figure will say, "It is interesting. I do wish that it was a raven." And the figure will then proceed to disappear into not so much one feather, but several that seem to look like a raven that flies off into the night.
okay. Yeah, you said this figure flicked me the coin.
Mm-hmm.
She would not have like broken this like prepared like hand on whip like ready to go into action. She wouldn't uh relax out of that pose until after they left, and then she can go pick up the coin.
Absolutely. It will certainly hit the ground, and the dark figure will fly off into the night.
Huh, man, I wonder what that was about.
Nothing good, I'm sure.